Hey, Youngstown Click. I hope you enjoy this upcoming episode of the Youngstown Click Be Connected podcast. Today, I got to interview Pastor Gary Frost, who is a local pastor, but he's involved in so much more. And he has such amazing insight on the subject of fathers. And he's been in New York City. So he shares a bunch of that stuff. And then I also want to introduce you to Jessica Rosario, who is in charge of the Fatherhood Initiative at Warriors Inc. And there's an upcoming father and daughter dance, no age limit. You could be in your 90s, you could be in your 60s, and you just come dance the night away. Tickets are on sale now for the next 2 months, and then they go up in June. So make sure you check that out. I hope you enjoy this upcoming episode. Guys, I am super excited about today's podcast because it is an issue that affects us all. Every single listener, every single person, whether you're local or worldwide. Today, we are going to talk about fatherhood, and we're going to talk about, we're going to talk, already in my head, we have so much to talk about. So I want to introduce you to our guest, Pastor Gary Frost, who is a Youngstown native, right?
I am.
Youngstown native, but he has served in positions not only locally, but also in New York City and all over the place. So welcome, Pastor Gary.
Good to be here, Debbie.
Thank you for coming today.
Yes, my pleasure.
So we're going to get right into it.
Okay.
You have had so much experience in the church, and we'll talk about that a little bit. But somebody told me that you used to also have a prison ministry, right? We were talking, and they were talking about the link between a lot of troubled people in society linked to fatherhood. So right off the bat, we're going to get right into this, and then we'll talk a little bit about who you are and stuff. But can you talk to us a little bit about that, like some of the surprising things that you've discovered or seen?
I first engaged ministry, prison ministry here in Youngstown. I was chaplain at the Mahoning County Jail. As I pastored Rising Star Baptist Church, and so had great opportunity to meet a lot of people. And you find that many persons who are labeled as criminals are good people with who made some really bad decisions,
bad choices. Yeah.
But you also find some commonality amongst them in terms of the dynamics that brought them to a place where they violated laws, and were incarcerated. And one of those that stands above most others is the issue of fatherlessness. Now, when I say that, I'm not just talking about that they don't have fathers, but the lack of a father's positive engagement in their lives. And, the thing I found is that the very presence of a father has a dynamic impact. Father doesn't have to be a whiz, doesn't have to be funny, doesn't have to be able to know all the sports and all the lingo of their kid, but they have to be present. That's the big word, present. There's something about the presence of a father in a supportive role that extracts from a boy and a girl their very best. You
said that so well, because I think that's what surprised me. The older I've gotten, the more I've observed and heard that the presence extracts something. That's the perfect way to say it.
Right.
It literally is a calling out of who the child already is, and it's a calling out of it. And it's crazy because just because I'm so intrigued by the subject, because we all have dads. We wouldn't be here if we didn't have some sort of dad figure, right?
For sure.
And so this intrigues me, but I found that there was a study done, and they asked the men, when did you first feel like a man?
Yeah.
Okay, are you familiar with this?
Well, the movie Courageous asks that question.
Oh, okay, okay.
When did you know you were a man? Right.
Man, okay, that's a powerful question. They said, so many people, they said, well, when I got married, or when I graduated high school, or when I got my first car, or when I first had sex, or when I had my first kid, all these different answers, right? And so they were trying to figure out something in common that says, okay, this is when a young boy becomes a man. And they couldn't find, and so basically they start studying it. And you know what they found out?
What was that?
They found out that the more eye-to-eye contact from their father literally draws out the man in the boy. So when you said that extracting, I was like, that is perfectly said, because it is literally the more face-to-face connection. And even if you don't have a dad, like a father who's present, like a father figure. And then ultimately it goes to the face of God because he said that he would be a father to the fatherless, right? So he never meant for any person to be without that father figure. So, okay, so
That ties directly into when I was in New York City,
Yeah.
working with many churches. I'm
Okay.
Southern Baptist, but Baptist churches.
Yeah.
We worked with Brooklyn Tabernacle,
Did you?
Christ
Oh, I love their
Tabernacle,
choir.
yeah,
Okay.
Times Square Church. I mean, when
Really?
you're in a place like that,
Yeah.
all the denominational stuff begins to fade.
Okay.
Because it's like we're in this together. And
Wow.
we developed a ministry called Urban Eagles, where
Okay.
we went into Rikers jail.
Oh my goodness,
And
guys. Okay, so if you don't know Rikers, it has quite a reputation,
oh yeah,
right?
it
Okay.
does.
It's like the worst prison, one of the worst prisons in the state, in the nation.
Right.
Right.
Now it's a jail. It's not a prison.
Oh,
it's
it's a jail. I always
Yeah.
thought it was a prison.
Rikers is
Island
an
is on it.
island. Has 10 jails.
Oh
And
my.
then sometimes they serve their time, given whatever the crime was. They
Okay.
serve the time there. But normally they're at Rikers, they're convicted, and then they go upstate to Sing Sing or other places like that. But at
Oh.
Rikers, there's 10 jails on this island. There were.
Okay.
Things have changed over the years. But I remember we were in the RNDC.
Okay.
And this facility housed 16 to 18-year-old boys.
Oh man.
And so we were able to do some amazing things. We brought Allen Houston, who at that time was one of the top basketball players out of the New York Knicks.
Really?
Yeah, we brought different players from the Giants and so forth. But we got in there. God just opened up a door. As I talked with some of the other pastors, they were amazed that we had the access that we had.
Right.
We took a couple busloads of folks in. They had to get cleared and everything, but we engaged. We even had Olympics in their field.
What?
Which they never had before.
How
They've not had
responsive were
since.
these kids to this?
Well, here's where I was going with this. We had about 200 kids would come into this gym.
Yeah.
And I would stand at the door, and I would shake each one of their hands as they came in.
Wow.
And so they didn't know, but I was assessing the handshakes and the eye contact.
Really?
And some of them gave the little,
Oh, right.
that deal. And, no
Some of them,
no
yeah.
eye contact at all. But a couple of them would give you a good handshake and look you in the eye. And so I didn't know their names, but after they all got in and
Yeah.
we were in the midst of it, said, we have a winner of our contest. And they said, what contest? I said, there was a contest that you guys didn't know about. There was a handshake contest.
Wow.
And so I pointed out a guy who gave me a firm handshake, looked me in the eye, and I said, so-and-so, didn't know his name. I said, he is the winner. And they just said, they were aghast. We gave him a little prize.
Right. Aw,
as much as you can
Right.
in jail. But so on the way out, I shook their hands again. They wore my hand out. I mean, they were like,
everybody was trying to impress you.
They were good, and they all looked me in the eye. But
Wow.
I told them, many times I also work with Valley Christian School.
Okay.
And various times these kids go to visit colleges.
Yeah.
And I said, listen, regardless if you're going to Division 3, 2, or 1,
Yeah.
a coach is going to assess you, first of all, not by your films, but by your first interaction with him.
Wow.
And I says, when you go, you firmly don't do a bone crusher handshake.
Right.
But firmly shake his
Confidently.
hand, look him in the eye, tell him your name. Let him know you know who you are. Because
Wow.
that goes a long way towards that coach understanding you have the kind of self-confidence
Yeah.
you're going to need to be successful.
Interesting.
And so those little things. I mean, I learned that from my dad. My dad, Hugh Frost.
Yeah.
My dad wasn't a real nurturing, lovey-dovey guy.
Okay.
But what he did, he wrestled. In hindsight,
that's creating yeah.
I remember him. We're in the floor wrestling, and he would let me kind of get him down.
Yeah.
Then he'd slam me, and I realized later he was hugging me. He was hugging me. That was his way of having that close contact. And so I find myself, you have to be careful in these days. It's just a different day.
Yeah.
But I find myself, when some of these young football players, I grab them, give them 5,
Yeah,
and give them a hug.
right.
But it's not a hug. It's
Right.
like a squeeze.
Right, right.
And it can't be long. You can't.
No, you can't. Don't be creepy.
But you know, and it's something. It's like it's a man on man thing.
Yeah.
And my wife, you know, I have 5 sons, and so
Do you really?
Oh yeah, and
Oh.
so we're just rough.
Yeah,
We're just
yeah,
rough.
yeah,
So
yeah, yeah.
sometimes, you know, we've been in the living room. More so as they got older, we had to cut it out because we were breaking furniture in the house. But I mean, there's something about a boy.
Yeah.
Needs
Yeah.
something tough.
Yes. Yeah.
Not to make him hard, not to make him insensitive.
Right.
But a boy has
Yeah.
to learn to be tough. Has to not
Right.
mean, but
To be able to handle some
aggressive
knocks.
when necessary.
Yeah.
Because I believe God designed us to
Right.
be protectors. That doesn't make us superior
Right.
to females, but
Right.
it means that you're to protect your wife. You're to protect your daughters.
Right.
You're to be a guide for them.
Yeah.
And that
Yeah.
does so that you treat them as a queen. You treat them as they're precious.
Right. A protector,
So it's not
yeah.
so unfortunately in our society that's been twisted to make it appear that you're seeing them as lesser. No, I've been married. Be 49 years.
Wow,
this
congratulations. My
coming
goodness.
October, be 50, we're going to celebrate something. We celebrated big time when we were at 40. We'll do something different.
Okay.
But the thing I found is I don't dominate my wife.
No, right.
If you knew my wife, she's not to be dominated. Okay?
I've met her a couple times. She's pretty, yeah.
She respects me and
You work
follows my
together.
lead.
Wow.
But there are times when I say, well, you know, you got a better decision on this one. So the wise person isn't the one has to be the boss, has to be in charge.
Right.
But as I speak from, if I speak from a biblical perspective,
Yeah.
Adam was given responsibility, and when Eve partook of the fruit,
Right.
nothing happened. But when Adam partook of the fruit, literally all hell broke loose.
Interesting.
And so we have to understand, regardless of what you think about gender equality and all the rest of that, I got to be biblically accurate.
Yeah.
And thank God for women. You know.
Yeah. So your leadership, would you say it makes your wife and your daughter stronger in who they're meant to be?
Oh yeah.
Like your strength almost like gives them strength. I think that's where people, or like people think, even with boys, oh, I'm going to hit them, I'll toughen them up. And it literally is wounding the boy. Wrestling, play, roughhousing, that's different than like, oh, I'm just going to make him tough. No, you're wounding him. But also with the girl, when you are the man and you're strong, you're actually giving them strength. And I realize that. Like I observe so much.
Right.
It seems like girls who have a strong, somebody's strength in their life,
Right.
specifically a man,
Right.
Whether it's a husband, whether it's a dad, whether it's an uncle or mentor, that gives them strength. And I think that so many people don't talk about that because it's politically incorrect. Nobody wants to admit that maybe somebody needs to give us strength. We want to think that everything we need is already inside of us. But you're right. The extracting is like so good a way to see it for people who believe that, oh, I'm everything I already need. But you may need somebody to extract it out of you.
One of the best movies that was made over the last several years got really, it got distorted because of what happened with Will Smith smacking, that whole thing.
Great.
But the movie for which he was there was
Yeah.
a great movie, King Richard.
Okay, I have not
King
seen
Richard.
it. Was
Oh
it
my
good?
goodness, King Richard is
Oh,
the
about-
true story
Okay.
of Richard
And the tennis players.
and the tennis players.
Okay,
right.
yeah.
He wrote before they were born.
Yeah.
He had a script for them. And he had enough relationship with them
Wow.
to help them follow their script. And he says, you two are going to be the best tennis players of all time before they were born.
Wow. Was
And-
he a tennis player?
No, well, he was okay, but he wasn't like
He knew
Arthur
his
Ashe
daughters
anybody.
would be
yeah,
good.
yeah. He was, but it's and he had some failure. He had some
Yeah.
shortcomings. Obviously, you know how movies do. They
Oh,
come out
yeah.
what
Yeah,
they
yeah.
do. But it's a picture, and I always use the illustration. Who's the greatest? Who's not necessarily the greatest African American golfer of all time?
Yeah.
Who's the greatest? I think it's
Tiger
Tiger.
Woods? Yeah, yeah.
His dad. His dad was right there with him. And you'll note when his dad died, he kind of went off the rails.
Yeah,
He
you're
coming off
right.
the
There
rails.
was this like a I didn't even realize it was his dad dying, but there was like this before and after. There was like
Yeah.
a split, you know?
His
Wow.
father's death was
Having
about.
that.
There's another. Who's the greatest basketball player of all time?
Michael Jordan.
Michael Jordan. His dad. His dad was with him 100% all the time. When his father
Wow.
died, he lost his love for basketball. He left and played baseball. That didn't work.
You're right.
And he came. So those are three examples, and there's other examples too.
Yeah.
But three examples because many the dads are getting engaged with their kids for the wrong reasons. They're seeing this DNA could make some money down the road, and so they're staying in touch with their kids, because there's dollar signs now with
Yeah.
some of these kids. I mean, you can see potential
Yeah.
great athleticism.
Right.
And so we have a lot of dads that are hanging on because of the paycheck. That's unfortunate because only, 0.1% of those kids are going to get that kind of a paycheck. But I've seen it, unfortunately, when that kid comes to a place where they either injure themselves or it's obviously they aren't going to make it to play for. I'm an Eagles fan.
Okay.
So they're not going to make
Oh,
it play
then you
for
were
the
happy
Eagles.
at the
Very
Super Bowl,
happy.
yeah.
If they when they don't make it, they pull back.
Okay, so let's get into that. Why do we, as a society, one of the most blessed, I mean, we have our problems, but we don't have need like other countries have need. We don't, and I don't know the rate of fatherlessness in other countries, but why do we as a country struggle with this? It seems like it's a natural desire to be part of your child. I mean, it's your offspring, right? And we see in nature, like even animals, we see like where a mother forgets her young or dad forgets his young, and it just doesn't seem normal. You know what I'm saying? Or at least to take care of them, right?
Right.
And so why do you think, what's at the heart of so much fatherlessness? I mean, across people groups, because it's not even like you could say, okay, it's in this side of town or this particular thing. It's systemic, right?
It's
Is it just a
systemic
selfish
problem.
nature? Or is it, do you think it's because of, it's hard for me to be angry when I'm looking at this ex and then love this little version of them? I mean, like, what do you see is some of the problems, or why is it such an issue?
Well, I'm about to get in trouble to
Oh
answer
boy.
that question.
Oh boy.
Okay, because
All right.
sometimes when you take this aspect of dealing
Yeah.
with that, you're labeled in certain ways. But
Okay.
I can't worry about that.
Okay.
The problem is entitlement.
Oh.
When you entitle people
Yeah.
and they lose the work ethic, you've destroyed them. When you're giving people things that they've not earned, but just because of who they are, or whether it's a kid is given a company because their daddy was rich, but they have they don't love the business, they love the money,
Right.
but the business is going to fail.
You're right.
Well, Byron Donalds,
Okay.
that's as political as I'm going to get, maybe. But Byron Donalds, who's running for governor of Florida, made a statement several months ago.
Okay.
And what he was saying was that the black family during Jim Crow
Okay.
was much more healthy and much more vibrant,
Vibrant. Okay.
than later on after many of the entitlements came down. He wasn't saying that, and they twisted it. It's amazing what media will do. They twisted what he said to suggest he was saying that Jim Crow was okay because black people flourished.
Oh,
That's
no.
not what he was saying.
No,
He was
clearly
saying that there was
was-
something in the character of African Americans at that time that, in spite of Jim Crow, fathers did not leave their wives.
Wow.
I grew up in the 60s, 50s, 60s
Okay.
As a kid. On my street, I lived on Catherine Street on the east side of Youngstown, right off of McGuffey.
Yeah.
It was a totally mixed neighborhood. There was
Yeah.
as many blacks as whites. We played together. We were like the little rascals out there.
Aw.
We were, I mean, really. We
Aw.
went to each other's houses. We
Yes,
ate, I ate
yes.
the Italian food, and so they
That
ate
was
the
the beautiful
greens.
thing about Youngstown.
Yeah,
Is
I
those
mean-
that I hear about that all the time. My neighbor, she talks about this lady who would bake bread in the neighborhood and you'd smell it all the way down. And that was her first time. I mean, she was young, but that was her first time seeing the old black lady in the neighborhood who would give all the kids bread, right?
Yeah.
Everybody looked forward to this lady's bread.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But here's the other dynamic. The other dynamic is in our neighborhood where there were professionals.
Okay.
The dentist lived right over there. One of the policemen lived right over there.
Yeah.
My dad was an executive.
Okay.
So we were in an environment where you were surrounded by people who were workers and were progressive, and it was rare, if at all, we could see in our community any single-parent families.
Really?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I've walked up, in my mind, I've walked up and down Catherine Street, and I said, married folks, married folks, married folks.
that something?
Now, I'm not saying that they didn't probably have their
Have
times,
problems.
and
Yeah,
their difficulty.
absolutely, yeah.
But marriage had a higher priority.
Yeah.
When marriage and the nuclear family began to be dismantled, we saw in a correlation to that was the loss of values and so forth that automatically came out of that. And many of the welfare kind of programs required that there was not a man in the house, which promoted women having children out of wedlock. They would get money, but don't bring a dude in there. He couldn't be there because she'd lose the money. And so the system itself promoted. So money is not the answer to our problem.
Right.
Money is needed.
Yes.
And funding is needed. So I'm not against funding and money. I'm simply saying those are secondary. Those are symptomatic to a deeper problem. You know, when you go into a hospital, you say you're in a car wreck, right?
Okay.
You go into the hospital. They first take you to the triage.
Okay.
What happens at the triage?
They stop
what
the
they want to
bleeding.
do, they stop the bleeding, and they try to understand what all's going on here.
Yeah.
It's obvious your leg is sticking out to the right. Okay, we know that. That's a broken leg. But they also want to know, was there any internal injuries?
Okay.
Because they could be working on that leg, and you will die right while they're working on the leg. The triage determines what's the priority.
Okay.
So what I see happening, unfortunately, is in the midst of the triage, we're seeing broken legs, broken fingers. We're seeing banged up heads over here. But there's a bullet in the heart.
Right.
And the bullet in the heart is dysfunctional family.
That's a good analogy.
And we're not dealing with the root of the problem.
Yeah.
I want to be a mentor as much as I can. I want to come alongside, help a young man, young lady as much as I can.
Yeah.
But ultimately, they want their daddy.
It's true.
They want their daddy. I can be helpful at a certain level. But a boy wants to be his daddy. He wants to be like his daddy, good, bad, or ugly. They want to be like their daddy. And so the solution is not small. I want to insert this because this is important. We live in a culture of septic music.
Oh, okay.
It's a
septic
it's
music.
a septic tank.
Oh, you're right. You're right. You're right.
We saw
it.
We saw it broadcast in the midst of the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
It's anger. It is payback. It is an environment where a black man can call a black woman a B, and it's okay.
Yeah.
Well, wait a minute. How is that okay? You don't want to be called an N. Why are you calling her a B?
Wow.
So as we're seeing the dynamics that are going on, we're dealing with the symptoms at the heart of it. Our kids are listening to this rotten, corrupting music 24/7, and it's pulsating in their minds. They're becoming disrespectful.
Right.
They don't respect. They become self-centered because they're not concerned. All they want to do is play PlayStation and sit around and listen to music and smoke. Now they've said it's okay. Yeah, play your PlayStation and smoke some marijuana while you're there.
I know.
Now, and let me just say this on marijuana.
Yeah.
I also do chaplaincy work at companies
Okay.
where they do random testing. Listen, you can't run heavy machinery and test positive with
No.
so what you're doing when you're promoting this marijuana,
Yeah.
you're also Xing those kids from jobs. They can't get the jobs.
You're
You can't
right.
get truck driving jobs. You can't get forklift jobs. You can't work with high level machinery.
Yeah, yeah.
Because they need people who are alert, focused, sober, and can do the job. And the insurance companies require it.
Wow.
And so insurance companies are not going to insure someone who's not doing the drug testing. So they can have all this liberation, and they can put Snoop Dogg in front of us, of our black kids as much as they want to.
Right.
But people like Snoop Dogg and others
Yeah.
are ruining our children because of what they represent. So now
That
I'm
is
probably
so
in
good.
trouble.
You know what? No, thank you for saying it. Thank you for saying it, because that could save somebody's life, but also sometimes making the hard decisions that are different from what all your peers are doing will literally make your destination so far different.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So far, when I was young, we used to spend a lot of time going into the projects in Camel, and basically inviting kids to church and stuff like that, right? And the Snoop Dogg would be blasting. I mean, just the whole thing, and it was just like nonstop. I mean, it was like you could go down and just listen to nonstop Snoop Dogg, right? Just blasting. But so many of those kids who I grew to love ended up in prison, ended up dead, ended up shot, they didn't have to be. They were smart, they were funny, they were poor, but poor people have made it, before.
So I'm out here, so let me just get all the way out
Yeah.
here, okay? You got LL Cool J, smart, intelligent.
Yeah.
Tupac, smart,
Right.
intelligent.
Yeah.
West.
Kanye West.
Kanye West.
Yeah.
Kanye West.
Right.
Smart, intelligent. Jay-Z, smart,
Right,
intelligent.
yeah.
Why is Snoop Dogg, so he is not even smart? I don't know what it is. You know what it is?
What?
This man is a walking marijuana commercial.
You're right.
He's a walking
man.
marijuana commercial. And
You're right.
how did they put this guy in front of the Olympics? How did he make that? So the thing we have to understand that there's more than racial stuff. Racial stuff
Yeah.
is real.
Yeah.
But sometimes say, well, if you're not down with this or down with that, listen, I got to be down with Jesus. I've got to make my priorities what are his priorities. My priorities, by the way, if you haven't picked it up,
Yeah.
is I'm pro-life. I'm pro-life.
yeah. Okay, yes.
I don't see how somebody can say, God blessed me with my 9th grandchild. Her name is Journey.
Oh,
3 weeks ago.
congratulations.
And
That's,
so we were praying for and almost interacting with Journey before she was born. And my son, listen, somebody's going to try to tell me that my daughter-in-law would have been in their full rights to put some saline solution in that child.
Oh, man.
And to turn her around and stick a board down her neck and suck her brain out to squash her brain and yank her out, and that's not murder? So we get into the politics and we lose the reality of what devastation.
humanity.
We're talking about telling a 4 or 5 years old child that one of my grandkids came up to me and said,
Yeah.
Papa, I want to be a preacher when I grow up.
Oh,
He
my
saw me preach.
goodness.
He said, I want to be a preacher when I grow up. I said, you go, boy. I hope you're a preacher. The next week he came by, he says, Papa, I want to be Spider-Man when I grow up. I said, Spider-Man? So the point is this. They don't know who they are.
No, right. I know.
They don't know who they are.
Oh, man,
And
yeah.
so why are we wanting to lock these kids
know.
into bad decisions? Irreversible bad decisions.
Yeah.
What if I said to myself, "You want to be Spider-Man? Okay, well let's cut off all your hair.
Right.
And let's sew some kind of strange
Right.
ears.
Let's perform surgery with put
Exactly,
things
yeah.
in your
You want to be Spider-Man?
Right.
No.
Yeah.
That's a child's statement silliness.
right.
And you laugh and you keep
Right.
on
And you're
moving.
like, oh, okay, let's pretend, whatever. Wow. So, okay. So speaking of that, yeah, we have just a couple more minutes, but I want to get this in here. You are up to something recently,
Yes.
right? Okay, so after all this years of ministry, and we didn't even get to like when you decided to be a preacher and what that looked like. So this guy is so interesting, has years and years of experience and wisdom, and has been probably a part of more than any of us really realize in this area.
Thank you,
historically. Yeah, no problem. But you've started something new now. I mean, like from scratch. So tell us a little bit and kind of like let them know what you're up to now.
Well, I put it this way: a strange thing happened to me on the way to retirement. I was minding my own business and at Cracker Barrel with a pastor friend of mine.
Okay.
And a good friend of mine who works at the Boardman YMCA.
Okay.
He came to me and he says, "You know anybody who would want to plant a church?" When he said that, something kind of clicked in my brain. I said, maybe. And so after talking to my wife and talking to some other people and praying, I felt led that God was calling me to plant a church in the YMCA.
Wow.
And so we have planted. We've planted, but we've not promoted yet.
Okay.
Our church is called the Open Door Church.
The Open Door.
We
Okay.
meet at the downtown YMCA.
Wow.
At 10 o'clock, and we go 10 o'clock to about 11:30.
Yeah.
And we're really.
Do you have coffee and stuff down there?
There's coffee
That-
available.
There's
Yes,
coffee available.
Yes. And my brother Hugh is my minister of music.
Wow.
And it's just really beautiful. We have two elders, my brother Hugh and Juan Santiago. I don't know if you know
yes,
Juan.
I know Juan.
Juan
Yeah,
is one of our elders.
Okay.
And so
Wow.
I don't know how long I'll be pastoring.
Yeah.
In the meantime, I'm praying God will bring alongside a young man
Yeah.
that I can mentor and encourage and so forth.
Yeah.
I don't plan to go anywhere, but
Right.
but I know I'm 71 years old,
Wow.
and I think I'm still healthy and strong
You
and
still-
capable. But at the same time, I think what happens, Debbie, is many preachers wait until they're like
Yeah.
can't think.
Right.
Then
Right.
they-
And then yeah.
No, you got to do it in your
Right.
strength. And I'll just leave this last illustration, maybe my last. But
Okay.
But when you're running in a relay race,
Yeah.
you want that guy to run in full speed in the exchange zone.
Oh, you're
Okay,
right.
you don't
yes.
want the guy to be
Like,
get to
and then
the
you're like,
exchange
come on,
zone.
get ready, get ready, get ready, get ready as you're coming. Yeah.
He's got to be coming into that
Yeah.
exchange zone full speed.
Okay.
He needs to exchange the baton.
Yeah.
And now he becomes a cheerleader.
Yeah.
And-
Okay.
And so that's, I don't know when
kinda
that
where you're at,
exchange
yeah.
will occur, but that's when I'm at. And
That's
with
amazing.
no disrespect of any other
Yeah.
churches in the community.
Right.
But
It's beautiful though,
Yeah.
because so many people, and even psychologists will say that after the age of 70 or 75, people tend to stop learning and trying new things and doing new things because their brain says, I've learned enough already through my life to get me through the rest of my life. And so you see them start to decline. And one of the things that they say that people can do to stay young and to keep their mental faculties is to on purpose learn new things, which is going against that thought of, what's this for? I've already learned everything I need to learn, right? So the fact that this is a new journey for you at
Yeah.
your age, and you didn't have to do this, like you said, you were on your way to retirement. But I just think it's
I didn't
beautiful.
know
and it's
you
for
were a
the reason.
counselor as well. Thank you. I needed that. That's some geriatric counseling.
Oh my goodness. All right. So last question, man, we could go on and on, but last question. If you were to recommend to Youngstown Click 3 of your favorite places in the community to go, whether it's a restaurant, whether it's a tailor, whether it's a church, whether something other than the Open Door, right? Where would you tell them? Just hidden gems, word of mouth.
Well, my first one is going to be peculiar,
Oh, okay.
and it's the cemetery. I go up to Todd Cemetery.
That's
my
a
parents. My
beautiful
parents
cemetery.
are buried there. My brother. I have a younger brother who's a doctor, medical doctor.
Oh, okay.
He passed away, and so I just go, and it's not sad for me. It's a time of reflection and remembering. I like to walk through because there's people I've forgotten.
Yeah.
People, many of whom played a major role in my life as a pastor. I've done hundreds of funerals and so forth.
Yeah.
And so I forgot about so-and-so. Oh, man, I wonder,
Yeah.
if so-and-so's still alive, his cousin or his brother. So it's a time for me to just walk and remember.
Right.
Good. It's not sad. It's not depressing.
Yeah.
And so that's one place. Another place would be Mill Creek Park.
Oh.
My wife and I, we just go down there.
I'm kidding. I'm
sometimes,
sensing a theme
and
here.
we just drive around. We just drive around.
Oh, I love
and
that.
just every once in a while stop, maybe go up, get some ice cream, come back down and sit and
Wow.
talk. I remember days we spent back when we were courting. My wife, by the way, is a great athlete, and she ran AAU track.
Oh, wow.
Back in the
Okay.
day. So this one area of the flats, when we were dating, I remember we were down there running, little love paths.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
I was, she tagged me and took off running.
Oh.
And so I had to chase her to catch her, but I wasn't making up any time. Yeah. So I said, I cannot let her beat me. So I had to dig deep. I had to really dip really deep.
No way. And you got her? You got her?
She told me she slowed down, but
she wanted you to catch.
But that was another place. Where would be another place? The Sharon line of Youngstown. Oh. Sharon line. That's up Jacobs Road.
Yeah.
That whole area. I kind of grew up there. My dad was the executive director of McGuffey Center.
Okay.
And so while I lived further down, as they say, towards the other side of Lansdowne, that was like a stomping ground. My best friends lived on the Sharon line.
Yeah.
We were at the McGuffey Center, so sometimes I like to just drive around there and reminisce.
Yeah.
And think. And now we, church I pastored, Rising Star Baptist Church.
Okay.
I pastored. Is there, and so.
Okay.
Memories of all the unity and all the love that went into actually taking a Thornhill School and transforming it and building a new facility. Yeah. So
very cool. Yeah, I like those. Yeah. They are a bit unorthodox. So, excuse me. Thank you for sharing that. That's
yes,
and the McGuffey Center. I was just introduced to that somewhat recently in the past year. And they have a lot to offer as well of community events and stuff. So very cool.
You're a great interviewer too, by the way.
Man, that is a huge compliment coming from somebody. So thank you, Pastor Cross. I appreciate it.
Yes, ma'am.
I appreciate that. Well, guys, don't forget the Open Door Church at the YMCA every Sunday at 10 a.m.
10 a.m.
And you could personally meet this great man full of wisdom.
I think I dumped all I had out right here.
No. I'm sure there's so much more. I'm thinking of more questions that we could ask if we had more time. But until next time, guys, don't ever forget the part that you play in this great region. Your word, your voice, your smile, your talent is needed, and it's actually plays a part in a picture so much bigger than you could even realize. So never forget that you are the best part of what makes Youngstown click. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time. All right, guys, I hope you've been enjoying this podcast about fatherhood. It's so important. And the more great fathers that we have in this region, the stronger the community is, the stronger the children are, the better the education. I mean, there's no downside to being a great and present dad, even though we're all imperfect. So speaking of that, I have here with me Jessica Rosario from Warriors Inc. And every single year, they do a father and daughter dance, which is so cute because there's no age limit on it. No. It could start at the youngest, to 99 years old. So Jessica, 49. Can you tell us a little bit about this?
Yes. Hi, everybody. And hi, Deb. It's so good to be here. Oh, my God. This is my friend, so y'all can excuse us.
Yes. But, it's always good to see you, Jessica.
Yes. It's such amazing to see you. On Father's Day weekend, which is that's one of the keys. Warriors Inc. Youngstown has this father-daughter dance. This is actually our 6th annual father-daughter dance. We've been doing it for
Wow.
this long.
That's
So
beautiful.
it's just amazing time. It's always the weekend of Father's Day. That's Saturday.
So that's easy to remember.
It's easy
Okay.
to remember, and that's key because a lot of fathers, Mother's Day is a big thing.
It is, right?
I'm a mom, so it's like, you gear up for Mother's Day, but Father's Day kind of gets swept under the rug a little bit.
Totally.
So it's an awesome time for dads to come out and have a great time. We like to spoil the dads.
Oh, I love
sometimes
that.
it's the only gift they might get for Father's Day. So I really take a year to plan some cute things that they can go away with, and also for the daughters.
Yeah.
So they're able to get their daughters, and they come to a dinner dance, and it's specifically dinner dance. So it's not a lot of, extra things going in, and they can spend that time with their daughters. I go with my
love
dad,
it.
and I know Pastor Frost is on
Yeah,
this
okay,
segment,
yeah.
and he comes with Leslie.
I
So
love that.
it's just an amazing time. The oldest dad we had was, I think, like 92.
Oh,
and he
my
came with
goodness.
his daughter. The stories are just so amazing.
And some dads come with multiple daughters, right?
Oh, yeah,
I
3,
love
4.
that.
And
so good.
That's
so
one
much.
reason why we want to keep the cost low, because we do have bigger families that come, and we don't want to, outprice it. So it's basically you get a great time for, we try to
How
keep it
fun.
affordable.
All right, so let's talk about tickets. How much are they, and where can they get them?
Okay. Tickets are, if you get your ticket this month and next month, that's
Okay,
this is
April
April
and May. Okay.
It will only be $35 per ticket.
Okay, that's not bad.
So
you get dinner,
You get dinner. You
and
get dance.
DJ Stan the Man will be
Stan the Man will be
doing
spinning
his
the
DJ thing?
Yep. He was there last year, and y'all stayed on your feet. So he'll
Okay.
be there again, and you get it during this time, and it's great because, like I said, the families with the larger,
Yes,
larger
absolutely.
families, they're not outpriced. They can still
love
bring
it.
all their daughters, and it's important. I have sent out different. Correspondence, because we're a nonprofit. Warriors Inc. is totally nonprofit.
Okay.
So the things that we do in the community basically are from our donors. And I do send out different letters to community and some businesses. And we really would love for people to support by, donating.
Oh, okay,
we do
so-
have sponsors.
Okay. Oh, you have sponsors, and do you have like raffles or anything like that, or just
We do
sponsors with, and you get input into the like how do
booklet.
sponsors get into a booklet? Okay.
Yeah. So sponsors is a few different ways. We have different levels.
Okay.
And you can contact me at Warriors Inc. I'm Jessica Rosario too. I didn't think because I know
All
you.
right.
I didn't even
So
introduce myself.
Oh, that's
you
right.
know.
Neither did I. Okay.
I am Jessica Walker. I am the family and community liaison for Warriors Inc. So
Yes.
there we go.
Yes, and they're
so-
located right here in Youngstown.
Right here in Youngstown,
So
Walker
you could
Street.
call them, ask for Jessica. Okay, and then there is a website.
There is a website. It's warriorsinc.org.
Okay.
We are on Facebook, Warriors Inc. Youngstown. So there's a lot of different ways that you can contact us. So we do have these different levels of sponsors, and we have our event book. They
Yeah.
go in there. We put you on all of our social media.
Nice.
And there are, different donations that we get monetary. It's
Okay.
really important because it helps to offset a lot of the costs. We could do a lot more when we have more
Yes,
donors.
yes.
But we do take different gifts and things. Last year was my first year. We got a lot of like certificates and stuff.
Oh,
and
nice.
I was able to raffle some stuff off, and the
Nice.
guys really, really love that. They
I
They
love
stayed
it.
to the very end. Raffles.
Yeah.
We want to make
Oh,
sure that you get something
For sure.
Yeah,
Sure.
It's
you know
always-
what's interesting is last year you actually was working with a organization that was teaching dads how to do their daughter's hair.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness! I bet that was so
Yeah, we had
rewarding.
set that up to do, and it was, one of the things, and we want the fathers to be involved with their daughters.
Yeah.
And a lot of times, I don't know, the response is kind of low.
Mm-hmm.
We want to really, really make that fathers are the backbone of a good community.
Oh,
That's
absolutely.
they teach their children. And then, like, even with my dad, and I'll just speak from personal experience.
Yeah.
He taught me what to look for in a good guy. So,
Wow.
when I went my own way, I kind of got messed up. And then I'm like, I went back to my basics. I was able
Your
to
story
circle.
is a very cool story.
It is.
by the
One
way.
day I'll come over and tell you that. That'll be a whole thing. But,
you wouldn't believe it. Look at her. You would not.
oh my God, I look nothing like what I've gone through. I give all glory to God, you know.
But having that consistent, loving father throughout it all.
Yes.
To kind of steer you and guide you. I'm sure it hurt his heart to see you go astray. And that's another thing. The fathers sometimes feel like they are failing if they can't control their kids. And so sometimes they step up and they feel helpless.
Well, it doesn't matter. You still have to do your part. Because
you do your part and you just keep loving. Your job is not to control, right? And we'll talk a little bit about that in the podcast. But literally, I mean, my dad is a Marine, so I'll see if I could get him out there dancing. That would be so cool.
They just stand there and chill and they see all their friends and stuff like that. And even, you know, I feel really bad for some fathers that might not be able to get their kids and stuff, especially their daughters. You could see just like they grab them like, oh, I got to keep you. They just don't want to go let go. Because
and that's a memory that will live on.
Yeah. You know, I'm a female, and I do the Fatherhood Initiative for Warriors Inc. Our director, Mr. McGeorge, is one of his passions because he's a father of 3. So he wants men to feel empowered to really, really take leadership in their family. Whether you're with the mother or not is so important because you do your part. And a lot of people, you know, the best guideline I could say is I'm a believer. I believe in Jesus Christ. And I know that God the Father, he loved me through all of my mess.
Wow.
You know, he was always there. So I always take that guidance like, you know,
I just got goosebumps.
Regardless if my father, he is, Pastor Ernest Walker is my dad. And regardless, in that time when I felt like he really took his hands off of me to let me go through my thing, I still knew that God was there. So whether a father is like totally involved or not, you know, as involved, maybe you might not even know your father. You know that God in heaven is a father that loves us all. He's a loving father and he'll never forsake us. So, you know, that gives hope to people whose father isn't really around a lot, or they might, it's a lot of people that don't know who their father is.
So true. You're
so,
right.
You know, and we are a faith-based, Christ-led company, and I love that focus because you can never go wrong with God.
No, you're right.
You know, so it's going to be amazing time.
Great time. Tickets are $35. You could get them online or by calling Warriors Inc.
Yeah, our pink signs will be out. Yes, the pink signs will be back, and I added a little flavor with it. So there's a QR code on there because I was behind a girl one time and she was looking at the flyer. She was in the car with her father, and she had her phone out and she's kind of like trying to take a picture of it to remind her dad. And I'm in the car, like, you know, I was like, oh my goodness. Right. So I was like, I got to do something, and we have this QR code, and I'm like, let me get a sticker. I'm going to put it on all the signs that are going out.
So so there's a QR code. You can just scan it, and it'll take you right to the information.
It'll take you to our page, our website. But in the website, I put right at the top, you can just click and get your tickets.
I love
You can save it so that you can, you know, remind yourself to go back to it. So I'm trying
to where is it at this year?
It's at the Saxon Club. I think that was like one of the first ones. I love the Byzantine, but it was a wedding that was scheduled. Okay. So I'm gonna do my utmost blessed to make it glam because, you know, I'm a girl. I like glitter and glam and lights and all kind of stuff.
That is wonderful.
And I make it bright. So definitely, regardless of where it's at, we can have it in a park, but it's time that you're spending with your daughter, and you know, it's just amazing. And the dresses and the, you know, even if we have people that come in like kind of down dressy, you know, like sneakers and stuff, but they're matching their dad. It's so cute. So they can glam all the way up, or they can just come. You can come in a costume if you want.
That's a cute idea to have matching coordination.
It doesn't matter. You don't have to buy a suit and do all special stuff. We just want to make it, you know, make it special for you.
Absolutely, I love it. So just real quick, in the event that you're thinking, I would love to do this, but I don't really have anything to wear, I did want to mention that there is an organization called Dress to Succeed, and they actually help with professional clothes, suits for men. If they have it, you could walk in, they'll help find your right size, and then it's absolutely free. So there's so many, if you need a shirt and tie, or if you need something to actually wear, a nice pair of shoes. Not that you have to have that going, but if you want to make it a special event, there are resources in the community, many of them connected to Youngstown Click, which it makes me so happy.
Yeah, like last year, not to interrupt you, Debbie, but you just reminded me of this. We had a father that had so much fun at the last one he had went to. He called, he said, I want to take care of a family. He was like, whatever, I'll buy the
Oh, that's
suits.
so cool.
He said, I'll buy the suits, I'll buy the tickets. He bought all their stuff. So I don't want to deter anybody if they think it's too much. People do donate.
Wow.
And then like even one lady, she has the flea market where's that at down the street? The big flea market.
Oh, the Four Seasons?
Four Seasons.
Oh.
She sponsored like 6 or 8 tickets. It was between there. She sponsored
is
tickets, and we
beautiful.
had tickets but I want you to get them early because a lot of people called the last week. And it's crazy. We have to have head count. We want to make sure we have enough for everybody.
Absolutely.
So
Once you get that count in,
once you get your count in, it's good.
closed,
People
yeah.
are calling me like 2 days before. So if you give me a heads up, I might be able to kind of do something. But please, you need to, if it's an
Don't
emergency,
wait
on
to
emergency,
the last minute.
do not wait to the last minute, please, for my sake. Don't
Right,
wait to
right.
the last minute because I want everybody to be able to have enough and for
Yes.
things to just go well. So
Absolutely. All right. And one last shout out. Another resource, Diva Donations for the girls, for the daughters, no matter the age. They have thousands of dresses. You could literally go borrow one, do 2 hours of community service somewhere, and it's absolutely free. So check those out. Dress to Succeed and Diva Donations. For once you buy your tickets and you're trying to plan what to wear, make sure you check those great organizations out. Jessica, thank you.
Oh, thank you so much,
for
Debbie.
coming,
Thank
and
you,
thank you for
everybody.
what you do for the community.
Can't wait to
Youngstown
see
Click.
y'all.
Yeah, I know. I hope to see. Well, it'll be like one big party.
Yes,
if I could
it
get
is a
my
big
dad there, we'll just have a great
came to
time.
the chess house, so I know
I know he
just
did
tell
come
him
to the
we need
chess
to
house.
see him.
Yes, I was going to wear my chess house T-shirt
wear
today.
mine 'cause you know I'm always
there you
away
go.
from
Yep.
Warriors.
Don't forget the chess house.
On
It's
Market
free.
Street.
Place to play chess, place to gather, place to watch people play chess, place to
Yeah.
learn chess. It's just a great organization,
One of my
a
favorite
great little place.
places in town.
And yeah, it's don't sit at home. Why sit at home when you could go and just hang out at the chess house? I mean, it's not like there's no charge, and it's just great. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Debbie.
All right,
Thank you.
and
See you guys.
See you.